Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and I running back coach didn't take the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. On this Friday edition, it's a free-for-all Friday powered by the pharmacy in Midtown. We have Bama versus Kentucky. Can Bama right the ship? NATO's get Bama back on the winning ways as we get ready to close out this regular season and get ready for tournament play. Combine thoughts. Talked a little bit about it yesterday, but we'll dig a little deeper into how the next week is when the combine starts, how it will go for our former Alabama players, and what is the best sport in the SEC? Football, baseball, basketball, softball, gymnastics, and more.
All right. Hey, yesterday I had an opportunity to join you, but then several things I wanted to get to, but of course I had to get off, and then you guys dug into some conversation. And as I was riding and listening, I thought, man, I'd like to talk a little bit more about this. When you said, I think you were talking to Pat, and you said something about football potentially being, one of the worst leagues right now in terms of the SEC, even though it may be the best football league. It may rank number one in football, but where does it rank within the conference? So that's where that question came from. And then on the combine thoughts, I just want to look at kind of each player, and there's an interesting analogy. Y'all talked about Robbie Oots, okay? And I'm going to give some thoughts on Robbie Oots and why I think Robbie Oots will make it in the NFL regardless. Okay. It may be at tight end, may not. But I have an analogy that I want to share with him. I love the way Robbie Oots plays the game. He's old school. He's hard-nosed. He does what he's asked to do. He's probably more athletic and more talented than he was given credit for, was probably a better receiver than he gave credit for. I do not remember him dropping any passes. I just don't remember them using him a lot in the passing game. But you take what happened with him in the offense this year. When we used him, he was always there, open. and And I think he just has the opportunity to do some things that we're not thinking about. And I'll tell you, and I'll use my story and a guy named Chris Gray to make my point. So we'll look at those things as well. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. It is a free-for-all Friday powered by the pharmacy at Midtown, and we're powered each and every day by Box Eye Care. So, but X, yeah, I mean, there's so much to get to, and of course, we'll probably wrap up the show with talking about Bama hoops. And you look at Bama's schedule, X, and the reality of it is, X in this stretch. One, Missouri, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Florida, and Auburn. If I told you that this team has to, you want to see them coming out of the Auburn game, go 5-1, would you take that?
Yeah, I would have. I would take that.
So that's still a possibility, right? So we'll talk about that. It just may be the reverse, and 5-1, 4-2 through that stretch probably isn't a bad run. The question is, can Alabama stop the bleeding? And we'll talk about that later on. I'll give some more insight on what I think the possibility is there as well. Thoughts back to you.
Yeah, kick things off. Well, do you want to jump into the combine thoughts, or you want to go into best sport combine thoughts? All right, so with the combine, of course, you brought up Robbie Oots, and we'll get into all of those guys, but I know why you like Robbie Oots. I get it.
Why you think I like Robbie Oots?
Because he was the player you were in today's game. That's the best way to put it. He old school smash mouth, not going to get a lot of praise, but was effective when used. But he's a massive fullback playing tight end, and because they don't have a fullback in today's game.
Yeah. So let me tell you why I think Robbie Oots. Yeah, and that's really a part of it. X is Robbie Oots is a Swiss Army knife. When I was getting ready to go to the NFL, playing at Alabama, there was a team in the NFL at that time called the Houston Oilers. Had a quarterback named Warren Moon. In my career at Alabama, I had 19 passes thrown to me. I caught 17 of them. Okay? So I wasn't known as an offensive receiver. And the reason I picked Houston, there was several teams that approached me with the following. But the reason I picked Houston, X, is Houston threw the ball back then. It seemed like they threw it 9 out of 10 plays with Warren Moon. It probably wasn't that much, but they threw it that much. I mean, they threw it all the time. They led with the pass. But they wanted me because they said, no, they said, you are going to be a high-value pick at a low but we will not take you high in the draft. They told me that up front. But you know why they wanted me? They said, you can cover 3 spots. They said, if we need a fullback, you can play fullback. They said, if we need an H-back, you can play H-back. And the game in which I played tight end, they found the film when I played tight end against Georgia. And I absolutely dominated the linebacker in that game. I played 2 drives at tight end in that game. We won the game 10-0, and that was the 2 drives we scored on. One was a touchdown to Rand Stacy. So anyway, they said you can cover 3 spots, and we can get a 7th or 8th round pick that can cover 3 spots plus play special teams. I didn't choose them. If I was thinking again, I probably would choose them. But I chose the Steelers because it was the best place for me to play, right? Play what I did the most at Alabama, blocking and occasionally running. So when I look at Robbie Oops, I throw another guy and 2 other guys into the mix that he reminds me of. What's the defensive lineman that plays fullback occasionally for the Ravens?
Ricard,
right?
Pat Ricard.
Right. So he could be a Ricard, right? Ooze could literally play. Watch this. He could play all 3 of those positions. But there's another guy that Oops may be more like than we even thinking about. He could be, instead of being a fullback, H-back, tight end, utility guy, he could potentially be a 8 to 10-year starter at a totally different position. There's a guy that I played in the first Alabama high school all-star game. There was a tight end for the Auburn Tigers and would occasionally have to step in and play tackle. His name was Chris Gray. And Chris Gray got to the NFL X and moved to guard and started for the Seattle Seahawks for, I don't know. I'll figure out exactly how long. I'll tell you how long he started. But guess how big he was when he played tight end? 6'4", 270. And they beefed him up a little bit. You know how athletic he was at guard for the Seahawks?
Man, in that era, probably unreal.
I mean, how good? I'm telling you, Oots. If I'm a general manager, I'm looking at Oots and going, okay, I know he can play these 3, but would he be a 295, 300-pound? I think Chris got up to 308 when he played at with the Seahawks. Could Oops? I mean, is that a potential that Oops could happen? You know, you guys are talking about his numbers. His numbers may be bottom quarter for tight end, but it'd be top 5 as a guard. I mean, I was just thinking about that because that's what NFL, when you have a limited roster, that's what they want. They want guys who can do multiple things.
Hey, Jason Kelsey was a linebacker when he got to college, and he's now he's a Hall of Fame center. So,
I mean,
Lane Johnson. Philly would be the team to do it. Lane Johnson was a quarterback coming out of high school. Yeah. Now he's a Hall of Fame tackle.
What about the tight? I mean, just making guys, you would think, well, can they do it physically? The best tight end in the draft is the kid from Penn State to me. But he was a quarterback coming out of high school. Who would have thought he would be the physical beast that he is? So it's just a thought. He has the frame to be a 6'4", 6'5", 300-pound. He could put on 20, 25 pounds on that frame and not be fat. And he knows, think about what he knows how to do. He knows how to block in space. He knows how to hook guys. He knows how to, pull.
Get up on the linebacker.
Get up on the linebacker. I mean, just a thought.
No, I mean, I thought that, but I hadn't thought that in a while. And breaking it down that way, he could either be the ultimate utility guy, or he could potentially be a high level, if not all pro guard, because of his athleticism with just a little bit of a weight gain.
Yeah. So it's just a thought. But we can talk about the other guys, coming back on the other side. Chris played, 4 seasons for the Dolphins, and 1 for the Bears, and then finally moved over to the Seahawks. I think he played, let me see. I think he played from 92 to like 2007 or something like that. I'll get it on coming out on the other side. He played a long time, X. He played a long time. So yeah, he was 93 to 96, 1 year with the Bears, and he played with the Seahawks from 98 to 2007. But he was a tight end coming out of high school from home. He was from Homewood. So and you know how how blocked Oots is. I'm gonna bring a picture. I'm gonna see if I can find a picture and show it on the other side. Take us a break.
All right, when we get back on the other side, we'll continue the conversation with Combine, who needs to step up, how they gonna perform, and what they can do to raise their draft stock. We'll get back to you with that.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good morning to you and happy TGIF. We're moving very slowly already this morning on 69. You do have a crash on the southbound lanes at Calusa Avenue. Now, this is a pretty major one because it's got traffic tight, but in the immediate area. And then, of course, Calusa Avenue, very slow on the westbound hook up to 69. And then we've also got some heavy delay bunch up on Skyland Boulevard at the McFarland intersection. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Tap into your well-being with Audible audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. Expand your life with expert insight and motivation for better health, habits, relationships, finance, and more. Start listening free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com.
Townsend Nissan has new 2025 Sentras for only $21,990, full of safety equipment, and the #1 selling SUV, the 2025 Rogue, starting at only $29,990.
Tap into your well-being with Audible audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. Expand your life with expert insight and motivation for better health, habits, relationships, finance, and more. Start listening free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go unrealized. Call North River Timber Company today. Email them at northrivertimberco@gmail.com or call 205-242-5127.
Are you scared to laugh or sneeze for fear of what comes next? Bladder leakage happens, and DCH is here to help. More than 15 million American men and women suffer from incontinence or bladder leakage. The team at West Alabama Urology Associates treats a variety of urological issues using the most current medical and surgical treatments with an emphasis on minimally invasive laparoscopic and robotic techniques. Schedule an appointment with Doctors Winfield, Tom, and Vincent by calling 205-759-7878 or learn more online at dchsystem.com.
Nothing in Tuscaloosa's history compares to the city's transformation under Mayor Walt Maddox. If you want proof of what Mayor Maddox can do, just look around. In every project, Walt Maddox focused on you, and you and your family deserve nothing less. But he isn't finished. We've achieved so much, but there's more to be done. On March 4th, elect Mayor Walt Maddox.
Paid for by the Committee to Re-elect Walt Maddox, P.O. Box 2233, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35403.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location, With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A good supply of sunshine today. The high in the middle 40s, around 45. Clear tonight, not as cold as last night. The low 25. Tomorrow, sunny and warmer, the high 52. And for Sunday, the sky partially sunny. Sunday's high 57. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 21 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, X, let's see if we can look at this. Let me see. All right, there we go. There we go. Oh, it's not pulling it up. Oh, you can see it a little bit, but I mean, I need to go ahead and take us to the next step. I'll bring that copy back. Go ahead.
When we're looking at the combine, do we need to? We've talked about Jalen Miller and how he can help his draft stock and things of that nature. Does he need to throw at the combine?
Oh, you were muted at the beginning. I didn't hear what you said.
No, as I was saying, we've talked about Jalen Miller and how the combine can improve his draft stock. We know if he runs, does all the athletic stuff, he's going to test really well. But does he need to throw? Because, we see some guys not throwing, wait till their pro day. Or does he need to get out there and try to throw to new guys in a limited circumstance?
I think he needs to throw because he's throwing against air. And there's really not his issue isn't with throwing, in my opinion. His issue isn't with accuracy, in my opinion. And everybody listening, hold on before you jump to a conclusion. His issue is with reading defenses and then being accurate, if that makes sense. So I don't think that I think just lining up, stepping back, zinging the ball, he'll be fine in that capacity. So I would say that I think he needs to throw.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually saw a clip of when Jalen Hurts was at the combine back in 2020, right before the world shut down. But it was interesting just listening to what they were saying as he was throwing. And I was like, man, it is almost identical to what they're saying about Jalen Milroe. And Jalen went out there, threw, did well in his interviews, tested well, ended up being a second-round pick. Blind Squirrel, Milroe should smoke that time. Like, Jalen Hurts is a good athlete, but Milroe should smoke that time. When you heard people talk about him being the fastest player on the team or right up there with the Terrion Arnolds and guys like that from years past, yeah, he should probably post the fastest time of any quarterback at the combine.
Yeah, I think he has a chance to be, top 3 to top 5 in terms terms of running for a quarterback if he's training. You don't ever know what 22, 23-year-old kids do during this time. I have seen guys work their butts off, just grind, and not to toot my own horn. I was one of those guys. I was ranked number 25. I didn't get invited to combine, and so I had to work on all of these numbers on pro day. I dropped my 40 time by a complete. I was not the fastest guy. I was really quick my first few steps, but I was not the fastest guy in a 40. And I had to drop my number a full 10th of a second to even have a chance of being drafted. And I did that. I had to improve my my vertical. I improved it by like 6 inches. I had to improve my bench. I had just under 30. I won't say how many, but just under 30 reps as a running back, and all those things. So some guys didn't put in that type of work, and some guys don't now. They rest on what their film said, and they take that chance. So I don't know where Jalen Milroe is, but I think if he runs and he throws, he will test well. He would test well, and just like Anthony Richardson had some people fall in love with him. The only problem with that is Anthony Richardson experiment is not working out. Here's an interesting thing to that, X. Did Jalen Hurts get Anthony Richardson drafted?
Because his OC
Did Jalen Hurts get Anthony Richardson drafted? Did the Indianapolis head coach, Jalen's former OC, see him and go, here's a bigger, faster, more athletic version of the guy that just took us to the Super Bowl?
The difference is...
there's a bunch of differences. I'm just saying.
Well, the difference is Anthony Richardson did absolutely nothing in college.
Zero.
When you stack up film, it hurts Milroe.
Right. Well, Richardson wouldn't even be in the conversation. Richardson did zero he had zero quality film. I mean, he had his combined film was probably less than one of Jalen Hurts or Jalen Milroe's top 5 games or top 10 games. If you took all of his film and just took the top, maybe even not even the top, you could probably take the middle of the pack for the two Jalen's, and they had more film, good film, than Richardson had his entire career. If you just took like 5 games from the middle. But so here's the question. And guys still fell in love with him, X. That's my point. They fell in love with him simply because he could throw against air, could run faster than anybody at that size and at that position. He could jump higher. I mean, and undoubtedly he was an intellectual guy. He could talk well, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he had no film. Jalen Milroe, if you look at it, Jalen Milroe has some really bad film. Tennessee, Michigan, Oklahoma. The other side, he's the only dude to beat Kirby Smart twice. I don't think there's another quarterback that's beaten Kirby Smart twice, ever.
He went toe-to-toe with the Heisman Trophy winner and outperformed him.
And he beat LSU dominant fashion twice. So his ceiling is way up here on film, but it's bottom. So the question becomes, what do they do with him when they see those numbers? Remember, coaches have egos. Saban took guys here who he thought he could coach because other guys couldn't.
Cedric, I don't agree with that because of all the points we're making right now. Anthony Richardson, and I don't think Jalen finds himself in a situation where he's the number 3 overall pick.
Right.
That Jalen Hurts, part of Jalen Hurts' reason for success is they didn't throw him out there to the wolves right off the bat. Even though he ended up starting at the end of his rookie year, he got to sit and watch how the game is played, and he got, even if it was only for 12 games, he got to sit and learn and watch. Then he had for him, he got an offensive-minded head coach to come in and then look at what he does well and build there. And by the time he got to the Super Bowl the first time, it was year 3 of his career. Shane Steichen's issue is he tried to take Jalen Hurts in poor man's version of Jalen Hurts in round 1 because he was bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic, and then threw him to the Wolves week 1 of his rookie year, and he wasn't mentally ready without any of the film. Now, Jalen Milroe, as you stated, has bad film, but he's got a lot more good film than he does bad film. I understand what you're saying. That was Jalen Hurts' problem coming out. That's what people said about Jalen Hurts coming out of college. But he got to sit. Jalen Milroe will be probably a second-round pick, will get to sit and learn the game. Then he'll get to potentially take over. Where if he was to go to like the Rams or anywhere like that where they have a veteran quarterback where he doesn't have to be the guy year 1. They try to make AR the guy off the rip, and that has been detrimental to his development.
And I would say this, Jalen Milroe is inconsistent more than inaccurate and can't read defenses. I can look at film and see where he's accurate. I mean, against Georgia, he was in the 70s. I mean, there's multiple games where he's in the 70s and where he reads the defense is fine. Then there's games where and I'm not going to make an excuse. There's something that happened with the Oklahoma game that if I told you guys, it'd blow your mind, guys. And it wasn't just Jalen Milroe. It infected the whole team. And that's why they look so bad. It was an off-the-field issue. Just leave it at that. But I wouldn't say that to compare Jalen Milroe to Anthony Richardson is unfair to Jalen Milroe. To compare him right out across the board to Jalen Hurts is unfair to Jalen Hurts. To put him somewhere in the middle is where Jalen Milroe works. I believe if Jalen Milroe gets with a coach who is willing to coach him and be patient with him, then Jalen Milroe can get better. Jalen Milroe, to me, has had poor coaching up until last year. And he could go in the first round. I'm gonna tell you, if he goes in the first round, I'm gonna tell you where he goes on the other side. X, let's answer Blind Squirrel Sports question. If you could pick an NFL suitor for Jalen Milroe, which franchise would it be? I have a couple of teams that I would pick. And Brendan Mass said, is it inconsistency because he's had 3 different OCs in 3 seasons and in 3 different and the other part is not just 3 different OCs, 2 who didn't want him, 2 who didn't want him, and 1 whose offense wasn't they tried to make their offense fit him versus, and they adjusted down to try to adjust their offense, but it wasn't an offense built for Jalen Milroe. We'll come back on the other side and talk about that, but I want to answer that suitor question because I think that's why you're going to see Jalen Milroe potentially have a great NFL career. It just may not start as fast as he would like. And the question is, will he wait his time? We'll talk about it on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good morning to you and happy TGIF. We're moving very slowly already this morning on 69. You do have a crash on the southbound lanes at Calusa Avenue. Now, this is a pretty major one because it's got traffic tight, but in the immediate area. And then, of course, Calusa Avenue, very slow on the westbound hook up to 69. And then we've also got some heavy delay bunch up on Skyland Boulevard at the McFarland intersection. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
Eat Lux your way with the new $5 Classic, $7 Supreme, and $9 Discovery Lux Craving Boxes from Taco Bell at participating stores for a limited time only. While supplies last, price of participation varies. Drinks exclude freezes, tax extra.
I'm John Fail. 4 years ago, I promised to work hard for District 6 and Tuscaloosa. I've done that. I have been as accessible as anyone, answering your phone calls, going to homes when needed, and meeting with you on Saturday mornings. I have supported public safety, schools, parks, and seen new restaurants come to our district. I need your support March 4th to continue what we've started. I'm John Fail, and I approve this message.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa. Quality is number one. You got to start with a good quality product, but it's got to be at a good value to the customers.
Everything is about quality.
You just can't beat the quality, taste, and value.
And it's because we take pride in providing you with the best.
Good customer service and good food, good quality.
We want to make sure that we give that to them each and every time they come and visit us.
The sense of pride that we have in the quality, the consistency of our food carries over to everything we do in the stores. That's Taco Casa.
On your feet, on your knees, Blue Oyster Cult is back. Live in concert. Saturday, March 15th at Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. All the hard rock anthems of Blue Oyster Cult. Tickets on sale now at pearlriverresort.com. Feel the thunder of Blue Oyster Cult.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Get ready, Tuscaloosa. The HBCU Athletic Conference 2025 Hope Credit Union Basketball Championships are taking over Stillman College, February 25th to March 2nd. It's not just basketball. The week is packed with fun. Join them for a tailgate, a cheer and dance showcase, and more. All packed into 6 days of championship hoops at Birthright Alumni Hall. Tickets are on sale now for the action, February 25th to March 2nd. Visit hbcuac.org for details. That's hbcuac.org. Upgrade your driving experience at BMW of Tuscaloosa. A new BMW means quality, class, and sophistication, and it comes with a 4-year warranty and 3 years of maintenance. Visit them today and discover why so many drivers have already made the switch. Looking for a pre-owned vehicle you can trust? At BMW of Tuscaloosa, their transparent, no-haggle process ensures peace of mind. Plus, every pre-owned vehicle is reconditioned to meet the highest standards. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Dixie Battery Supply takes care of all of your battery needs. Find the commercial batteries you're after and never feel powerless again. Come check out our Northport and Tuscaloosa locations or call us at 205-758-9190. And once again, power up all your devices by using Dixie Battery Supply, DixieBatterySupply.com. They offer reconditioned batteries starting at $39.99, and you'll find all the batteries you need. And don't forget to ask us about our golf carts. That's DixieBatterySupply.com.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, picking up on the conversation where we're talking about potential suitors for Jalen Milroe. Who do you got?
Well, I got a couple, and it's when you look at it, it's interesting. I I don't know if Jalen will go first round, but if he goes first round, I think this is the condition. Similar to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was a second round pick because the Eagles needed a first round pick. Okay, but he was their dude. Like if there had been other people interested in the Eagles may would have traded up to get Jalen Hurts. And here's the beauty of it. If you look at that team, if you look at that Eagles team that just won the Super Bowl, what did that general manager do? He drafted guys later that other guys had passed on because they come from winning culture, right? And I know that this year Alabama was down a little bit, but you just had a quarterback lead through transition, right? Through difficult transition. Whether we like him, love him, or hate him, in the public, Milroe was kind of known as one of the guys that held that team together. So if I'm a general manager, I look at that tangible, right? I look at he was raised in a culture of winning, like Hurts, like Smitty, like Dickerson, like the Georgia guys. All right. So I'm going, what would happen? What would happen if Jalen Milroe had a year to sit and watch? Let's say Jalen Milroe had sat out this year. Let's say Ty had won the game and Jalen sat out this year and was coached by DeBoer on the sideline. Then he goes and transfers somewhere else the next year and plays like Jalen Hurts did. Where would he be? How much could he grow if he had time to sit? Well, now the general manager goes, well, why don't I just do that for him? Why don't I just take this kid and let him get coached from the sideline by someone who is invested in him? Unlike Bob, Bill O'Brien, or like Tommy Reese did. What if I coached him on the sideline? And then what if I put him in a system that I know he fits? So I'm going to a couple places. And it's not going to be the top teams. I'm going to give you 4 teams, X. Because
okay, let's see if we got something the same ones. Because I got 3. I got 2 in the potential.
Because I'm going to have him for 5 years. That's the way I'm drafting him for 5 years down the road. And if somewhere down the road he has to hop in there and play occasionally, I'm going to have him ready to play. If I'm the Buffalo Bills, I'm looking at him. Josh Allen was known as a man, he can throw it a mile, but he's not very accurate. Nobody wanted him out of high school, and the Buffalo Bills fell in love with him in combine. Not based on film alone, but he did because he could throw it a mile. And he was athletic, but he wasn't necessarily a great read guy. Guess who coached him? Dayball. But what did Dayball do that he wasn't willing to do with Jalen Hurts? He made his offense around him. Okay? And then he soared. Boom, that's it. Then, in 4 or 5 years from now, Josh may be on the downside. And you have what Green Bay's had in their quarterbacks. They've drafted a guy with a superstar who is 3 to 5 years from declining. And then, boom, they had a guy ready to go. Same thing applies to the Baltimore Ravens. Okay. Same scenario I just talked about. Put him in, let him learn. Boom. Offense, you already had offense built for him. Okay?
Yeah.
the Eagles. Put him with Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts teach him how to work. Teach him how to study film. Teach him how. I know what you're going through, dude. I've been there. And last but not least, and then the only reason they wouldn't is because they just got their guy. But who's their second guy? If the Redskins lose their quarterback, who do they go to? So there's another. That's the four that popped off without me doing a whole lot of research.
Okay, so here are my two with a potential third. And the interesting thing is, three of those four guys you mentioned were not viewed as accurate and consistent passers coming out of college. Josh Allen, they told Lamar to move to wide receiver. They told Jalen to move to running back. And look at them now. They're three of the top 5 to 6 quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, my two are because of the potential situation that they're in and that you could build around over time. Detroit has started to build a winning culture. You look at the weapons, like you talk about Jalen Hurts and the weapons he has around here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Gibbs, Montgomery, Laporta at tight end. They have a really good offensive line. So there's my thought process with Detroit. And he doesn't have to come in and play immediately. He can sit a year or two behind Goff if need be. And if Goff starts to decline, you got a younger, more athletic quarterback that has had time to learn. 2, Pittsburgh. Just because we see how you have Russ. We know Russ is on the back end of his career, but he can give you a couple more years while you let Jalen develop. Obviously, they wanted to do something like that. That's why they brought in Justin Fields. So there's that aspect. Here's the third team. And with this team, I think he gets into the second round without a doubt. And that's the Miami Dolphins. Tua is injury prone. You need a solid backup. But he's not going to be asked to be the guy day one. The Dolphins have already talked to him about coming in and being the backup. So they already got eyes on him. But him in that Mike McDaniels offense, the ability to stretch the field and the ability with his legs, I think is a good fit.
Yeah, and Cedric Peterson said the problem is a team who just needs a QB will almost certainly have to take Milroe in the first round. Now you have a QB like Richardson who is not ready yet, forced to play immediately. Here's what I would do. I'd take a guy. Cedric, I'd like to know who you think that team may be. But I would look at a veteran. I'd look at a veteran like a Sam Darnold. Everybody forgets that Minnesota actually took a first-round quarterback last year. And he was like projecting like he was going to play. But Sam Darnold was able to do it. But Sam Darnold hurt himself down the stretch because he couldn't hold water, right? He struggled down the stretch.
Right.
But if I'm a team that needs a quarterback, I'm going to take Sam Darnold if I draft Jalen Milroe. I'm going to try to find a Sam Darnold veteran. Look at what the Falcons did. Nobody talks about what the Falcons did. The Falcons didn't think that Penix was ready. And he may not have been ready day one. Who knows? But what did they do? They took a dude. They signed a guy, and he's going to be back on the market. Cousins is going to be back on the market. Do you get a Cousins if you're out there and you need a quarterback, do you get a Cousins and get a Milroe? I think Milroe ends up, regardless of where he goes in the first round, I think Milroe ends up with the opportunity like Jalen Hurts, like Lamar Jackson, where they don't have to play day one, or like Penix, where they don't have to play day one, but they are being coached, trained, and prepared to be ready even in their first season and then ready to play at some point in the future. That's my thought.
And I don't think I think in this draft, I think he's looking at that 2022 draft, 2023 draft class, and not this draft class. This draft, you had Bryce, CJ, and then there was truly a chasm between Richardson and then Will Levis. This year, you've got Cam Ward. You've got Shadir Sanders. You've got Jackson Dart after what he did at the Senior Bowl has jumped up boards.
And speaking of Dart, I don't know why Dart wasn't always up on boards. That never made sense to me.
No, it didn't make sense.
I would take Jackson Dart over Milroe any day. I mean, I'm not being ugly. Based on film, if I have to play somebody this fall, I'm taking Dart over Milroe. If I got time to develop and I have a guy that I'm sure about, then I'll take the chance with Milroe. But here's the other thing.
So I think
here's the other thing that I would say. The concern, the reason Milroe needs to throw is he doesn't need to allow, what's the kid from Notre Dame? Leonard and some. There's 2 or 3 other guys who, if Milroe disappears until pro day, he's going to allow them to jump in front of him just without them doing anything great. They're just going to be in the media. And that's why I would say he needs to run. I guess you got some more thoughts on that. I guess we better talk about Bama and their big.
Yeah, I mean, there's a group of 3 quarterbacks that I would consider together. Like I said, Ward, Sanders, Dart, and then there's a gap, but then there's another 3 guys or so that I would say together, and that would be Milroe, Leonard, and Howard from Ohio State.
You know what's interesting, X? After the Georgia game and until the Oklahoma game, I still had Milroe. As after the Georgia game, I had him going first pick. And then it slowly went down. But I still had him top 3 until the Oklahoma game. And then the Michigan game hurt again. You know, I just that hurts me as well. That concerns me as well. But I still say his talent is so crazy that it'll make guys take a chance. It'll make teams take a chance. So we could be having this conversation and one guy fall in love with him and Milroe goes off the board in the top 10. I mean, you just
and we right. You're right. But the craziest part though is when we're talking about inconsistency and stuff like that. If you go look at just the raw numbers coming out of college, Jalen Milroe is still a more accurate passer than Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
By a gap. These guys, neither one of those guys were 60% guys coming out of college. Jalen is a middle of the pack 60%. And we talk about, oh my God, he's horrible. And these 2 guys are the top 3 quarterbacks in the
and
NFL.
They played, and he played in the SEC versus the MAC,
the ACC, and whatever.
Right? But X, we'll look at some of the other guys next week on Combine because I really like breaking down these guys' chances. Tim Smith is a guy that intrigues me. I have a couple comparisons for him if we get on that topic on Monday. But, hey, there's a big game. Can Bama go on a 5-game win streak, X, and still be 5-1 through this stretch?
It starts tomorrow. And you know, this was the last time we saw Grant Nelson show up. Does he do it again? And if he does, I think Alabama's in a really good position. If he doesn't, that's what worries me, especially through this stretch, because we'll see us press too much. I'm still going to pick Bama because we've got them at home. We've got them here. I like our atmosphere. But, man, there's just so many little things that this team has to just tweak right to get the ship fixed.
You know, here's a question I have is are we underestimating how good Mizzou is? would Mizzou be ranked higher if they weren't coming off of last year? If the season started at SEC play, would Mizzou be ranked higher than where they are? Because, I mean, in the SEC, we don't look at them as one of the top teams, but they are. SEC play.
Yeah.
So maybe Bama's better. They got blitzed at home. That team is, I think, now 16-1 or 17-1 at home. That's the coach of the year in the SEC right now, despite what everybody else is doing. Because he brought everybody and they're playing together.
Yeah.
Wow. But anyway, I got Alabama taking care of home court, flipping the script, playing some good defense. Defense will be the key in this game. Keep the turnovers down, hit your threes, drive, kick, etc. Nate Oates figures it out. They get the win against Kentucky.
I'm going to roll with Bama as I always do until the wheels fall off. Hey, I'm Xavier Houston. they wobbly. I'm Xavier Houston. That's Martin Houston. That's Chase Brumfield pressing all the right buttons. We appreciate you listening to another week of the Martin Houston Show. The Martin and Xavier will be back on Monday.
Hey, no offense to Alabama, but Milroe should have left Todd to focus on self-development with Seth McLaughlin. That's from Blind Squirrel Sport, laughing it out. All right. Hey, remember this. Trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Hey, come check us out at Harvest Church on Sunday. Small group Bible study at 9, worshiping the word at 10. Roll Tide, everybody. Catch you on Monday.
It's a celebration. Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan traffic.